Hello, all my Be in Demand listeners. Today is a speaker circle, and a speaker circle is a monthly training that I host that you are cordially invited to. If you'd like to learn more about the speaker circle, you can go to speakandstandout.com/community, and you can join us next month for this very intimate mini training. Today, our topic is going to be all around this is fall conference season. Lots of different associations, they've started their meetings back up, especially in the northern part of the United States. They typically go from September to June is their calendar year. And down south, you will find that a lot of associations go all year long. And so their calendar year goes from January to December. So let me just address the people that are down south because that's where Renee happens to be right now. The people that are down south, that go from January to December. December, their meetings are going to be the changing of the guard. Like the new the new president that's coming in, they will take over. They're essentially like passing the baton. And so that meeting typically happens either in December or it will happen at the very first meeting in January. This has been my experience when I've been down in Florida attending meetings or speaking at meetings in January. But this time of the year, they are also planning next year. So, Renee, this is your time to be reaching out to those associations to find out, do they plan the entire year or do they just do a couple of months? So for somebody like a human resource association, where all of their meetings, the attendees are getting credits. That's why they're attending the meetings. They want to get more credit. They have to maintain credits for their credentials, like HR people. So they like to plan out the entire year. And that happens up north also, everybody. So most of the associations like HR, they're going to be finalizing their calendars, but they've already got their September, October, November, maybe December speakers. Maybe the second half of the calendar year, they're still finalizing those speakers. So it's still a good time to be reaching out. So Julie, that's your cue. You need to be reaching out to HR associations, okay? And Linda, for you also, because there's 3 different HR associations that are here in New Hampshire. I think New Hampshire alone. So find out where your different chapters are that have your ideal clients. Now, what associations are in your area, essentially? So you're looking for the perfect associations. You want to find out on their website. Look at their calendar. How far in advance are they booked? How many meetings are they advertising already? Sometimes I have found they only like to do 1 month at a time. Almost like a sense of, well, we don't want people skipping October, so we're just going to advertise like the very next month. We don't want people like looking too far ahead, because some associations think that their members, especially if they have to pay for each meeting, even though you have a member rate, you have a non-member rate, and they want to keep people coming month after month after month. So look at that. But if you only see 1 month, that doesn't mean they only have the next month booked. They might have the next few months, but that's one of those things you want to be reaching out to them, figuring out who's in charge of the programs. Now, a common question that I get all the time is, like, what's the title? Who am I reaching out to? Because very rarely does it say, like, I book speakers. I book the speakers for each month. So you just have to like basically look at people's titles. It might be program director. It might be education director, meeting coordinator. You'll just have to figure that out when you start looking at, I typically like to look at the leadership team. And that's where you'll either see pictures or at least information about who is in that position. Because remember, a lot of associations are based on volunteers. but they should have some sort of a hot link that basically, if you were to click on their name, it'll open up into your email. Now, when you look at that email, if it is a Gmail account, you can make the assumption that it's probably a volunteer position. If you click on it and it has program director at nameoftheassociation.com, you can't make too much assumptions about that. It might be volunteer, but it might be a very like this is our email address for this particular position. And depending on like if each year when we change over the different people who are taking over this position, it might just be forwarded to them. But again, what you're going to do is you're going to use my open the door to the conversation. And you're not saying, hey, book me for your next meeting. You're just saying, hey, I'm interested. Let them know in your email that you've done some research on their website about their meetings, about their spring or fall conference, whatever information you can gather. Like, be really sincere. Then they'll know, oh, this is somebody who's actually done a little bit of homework. So that's one piece of advice. The other piece of advice that I would give you is to make sure that your email is not really long. Make it easy to read. So short sentences, lots of white space. So that because human beings are scanners, we will scan an email. You probably do this yourself. You ever notice that you scan an email first before you actually go back and like, oh, this is worth my time? And you go back and you read the email. So keep it short, sweet, to the point, and you are just opening up the door to the conversation and just like, hey, I noticed that you have monthly meetings that you appear to bring in some great speakers for. You might even say like, I've been keeping an eye on you for a little while now. Use a little bit of humor. I've been stalking you. I've been Insta stalking you. And just ask them, like, what is your process for finding and booking speakers? So now you're just opening the door to the conversation, and you can let them know. This will depend on how comfortable you feel and also about how long your email already is. Then let them know, like, I am a speaker on XYZ. Renee would say presentation skills. And one of my well-received programs is, and you can insert the title of one of your talks. If you'd like to have a conversation, then just make it nice and general. Don't make them feel like they have to email you right back, right then and there. I like to say, if this interests you, reply back and let's see if we can arrange some time to talk over the next month. And thank you. I want to bring up one other thing. If you can't figure out who to send the email to, if the title isn't clear enough, always just send it to the president. If the president of the association, the organization loves what you're talking about, they're going to forward it to the appropriate person. Like Rotaries. With Rotaries, I have found it's not always somebody's job to find the speakers for all 52 weeks in an organization. So sometimes they actually have somebody who is doing it for the month or who actually has to do it for a week. So it would be like, Julie, you're in charge of the last week of September, and then Renee, you're going to be in charge of the first week of October. And so you're just, like mulling around and trying to find good speakers because you only have to find one. Maybe you're going to find two in the whole year, depending on the size of the Rotary. So that's another reason why I just like to open the door to the conversation. There's so much that we don't know that we won't find out unless we just kind of are having this, you're gathering information, that's all. And you're all speakers. So guess what? If you're not a good fit, you must know somebody who might be a good fit. And you can share that information like, hey, I don't think I'm a good fit for your audience, but I do know somebody who might be a great fit. Would you like an introduction? Would you like their website?
Right.
Speakers know speakers. Podcasters know podcasters. And this is just a form of, I love to connect awesome people together. Okay, Sean, to answer your question about the Deep South, like Central America, I don't have a good answer for that. But I think if you use the open the door to having the conversation, you're going to gather that information. So that's one tip. The second tip is by looking at their websites for those different associations, for the different groups, look at their calendar. Is that where you're located right now? Okay.
Yes. I've been living in Guatemala 11 years now.
Oh, wow. What brought you down there, by the way?
Adventure.
Very nice. And what do you speak on?
People pleasing and imposter syndrome, realigning our identity to match values, purpose.
Yeah.
It touches on, I can touch on burnout. Some of my podcast episodes have been on burnout, taming the imposter monster, turning him into an ally instead of an enemy.
Very nice.
Having that embodied confidence.
Very nice. Great. So in your experience living down there in Guatemala, have you looked up different associations on their websites, people that are hosting meetings?
I haven't.
Okay.
They had a big annual summit last weekend that I was this close to being able to go as a participant, start to make some more connections, but it was so popular they were booked solid.
Okay.
I actually had somebody who was supposed to come speak who couldn't come speak, and he was going to get me a ticket, and they told him, sorry, we can't give any out.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
Okay, here's what I would do if I were you. I would try to find somebody that's within the organization that was responsible for this event and let them know how disappointed you were that you couldn't get a ticket, you couldn't get in, but this speaks volumes about the quality of the event. Now, if you can also find out how many years they've been doing this, even better, so you can slip that in. But ask, okay, 6, very good. So obviously it's getting better and better with each year. Ask them, when do you start planning for next year is one question. And the second question is, when do tickets go on sale? Because I'm not missing out next year. And you're just gathering that information. They'll tell you when they start planning. Depending on the size of the event, I bet you if it just happened, either they're already starting to plan for next year, or they will within a month, or by next January, they will definitely be planning this. How big do you have an idea of how big this is? How many number of attendees?
So their website said over 2,000 attendees, over 30 partners from 30 countries, and over 130 speakers.
I bet you that they're already in process for planning for next year.
Something that big for sure.
Yeah. When you reach out, I wouldn't even be surprised if they said, oh, we're already starting to plan for 2027. They're starting that process. Okay. So that's all. That's what I wanted to share with you today. Linda, did you want to unmute and ask your question?
I will try, but I'm battling a head cold.
You sound fine.
Thanks for taking my question. I found this information informative about initially reaching out through email. My question is whether you send a follow-up email if you receive no response, if you're ghosted, and if so, how much time do you wait?
Very good question. So I like to have a process. And so if you send an initial email, like a week later, you might want to call them, especially like if there's information on their website, a phone number, a main phone number, again, with volunteer associations or volunteer staff, you may not find that. So is there a phone number that you can actually call? This is going to be easier with bigger associations like the headquarters, so to speak. Um, and then what I would say is like email, telephone, email. Now, if there's no phone, I would give them a week to even 10 days. So this is a matter of you really keeping track of this. And I would send no more than 3 emails. Space them out, but be different. Don't say, I'm following up on my previous email. As a podcaster, I get all of these very lame, terrible pitches to be on my podcast. And sometimes it's like day after day after day. It's like, did you get my email yesterday? Did you get my email yesterday? It's like, I've ignored and deleted it 6 times. When are you going to get the hint? So I like to do something funny. And so I literally would go into ChatGPT. You could say, I'm reaching out to this association. I haven't heard from them. I want to have a funny response. And you're all using your own ChatGPT, so it should know your personality and your sense of humor and how you write things. And so you could get some sort of funny response. Like one that I used with a friend, we just had a follow-up call, and it was on Zoom, of course. And I showed up at his Zoom room, and there was nobody else there. And so I sent him a funny message. Like I think I said something under the idea of, I feel like I'm in junior high at at the at the fall dance in the gymnasium, and I'm standing along the sidelines waiting to be picked and asked to dance. Like something that's just fun and funny because it's different. And so I think adding a little bit of humor, because you've heard me say in the speaking world, the more that they laugh, the more money you make. So make them laugh. It'll be different. And they're more apt to respond than did you get my email that I sent last week? I'm just following up on my email from last week. You can also put in there at the bottom of your original email, if I don't hear from you, I will follow up on this particular date. Just to let them know. Because y'all got big shoulders. And we never know what's the reason that somebody is not replying. They really could be on vacation. There could have been an emergency in the family. They might be, and you don't know this because you're gathering information, they might be knee-deep in planning out the fall conference. But you're just not going to know. So that's why I like to space things out, make it funny, make it light, make the emails really easy to read. I hope that helps, Linda. Good. And I hope you feel better.
It does. Thank you.
Anybody else have a question? Feel free just to unmute and ask away. Renee.
Hi, everyone. I'm Renee from Fort Lauderdale. My question is, I'm still on the hunt for that book and waiting for it to get under $100. No luck yet. I'm on the website when I get enough energy to go onto the website, and I feel like it takes so long to navigate. Have you figured out any tricks or tips on where's the best place to find it online so that you can find the right associations that you're looking to target?
You're talking about where you can find
the
new
trade
copy.
the trade association book that you were telling me about a while ago. They have something online. It's a web portal, but I haven't figured out. It takes me so long when I go onto the website doesn't navigate right. When I put in the filters, nothing comes through and I'm refreshing. So, because that's such a great tool to have online,
Mhm.
since I don't have the book.
Yeah. And the people who used to put out that book, they do have a paid membership for their particular portal. And yeah, it is pretty pricey, and you are able to save all of your searches and your filters. It's like $800 a year. And that's why I say, like, just find a used copy of that book. Somebody told me, I'm trying to think of where she found the book. She heard me talking about it on the podcast, and she went and found it. And I want to say she
I'm
did
gonna give
find it.
up on my search. It's time to like continue because I know those things are a dime a dozen. You just have to catch it at the right moment.
And as soon as you see it, you just have to buy it. Don't hum and haw over it. I mean, it cost Amazon more money to ship that darn book than I think I paid for that book. But I did. I bought it years ago. I think I got it in 2019. The essential information is the same. But the other thing that you can do is, I mean, if you know what association you want, if you have at least one, you might be able to like type that into ChatGPT and just say, I'm looking for similar organizations that fall under this category.
Right, right. I've done that. Like
Okay.
within leadership or empowerment. Yeah, no, that's a great tool. Definitely. I'm gonna go back to doing that.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And the thing with, like one, leadership is a very hot topic, but it's definitely a red ocean. If you've ever read the book Blue Ocean, Red Ocean, there's so many speakers out there who are speaking on leadership. So it's like, how do you distinguish yourself amongst all the other sharks, essentially?
Yeah,
Red
absolutely.
Ocean. So that is one thing that I would say. But you're in Fort Lauderdale. You got some great Rotaries. Have you reached out to the Rotaries?
I have, and I kind of gave up because I pivoted. I'm in the youth market now too because I do speak to both. So I just kind of put the pause button on and went with my other talk that I have for schools and nonprofit organizations. I
Okay.
should probably go back and reach back out.
And those are very different topics. One's,
Oh,
you're targeting
absolutely.
adults, and then the other one you're targeting youth.
I have very different talks.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Thank you.
Yeah. I think you just gotta lead. I mean, if you were my private client, Renee, I would tell you to lead with one. You've got to focus on one because right now I see you like, I'm trying to do this leadership one and I'm also trying to do youth. And then you're kind of like I put a few minutes in over here. I put a few minutes in over there. I mean, like I'm guilty of this. This was something that I did for a long time. So my advice would be, could you just like pick a day? Like I'm just going to focus on the leadership.
That's
And
a
then
great
the
idea.
other day, you just focus on the youth.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
Because you ever notice, like, you start to get down I'll call it like the Google or the
Rabbit hole.
ChatGPT
Yeah. Oh,
rabbit
yeah,
hole.
yeah.
And then you only get so far. And, that way you can just keep going down and get lots of information
Right.
and then move over.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Another great place for you to be speaking or for you all to be speaking are universities. Consider universities for your topic. Universities are always looking for guest speakers. And the way that I would advise for that is to look at all the professors, look at all the instructors, look at all the different topics, like who teaches. Like there are leadership degrees now. There are classes on leadership to bring you in. And, Renee, you also talk on, presentation skills.
Yeah.
Hot topic.
Yeah. I mean, I got to make it fancy because that's boring, but it's really, it's ditch the script, like let's get away from that. That's a great idea. I never thought of that, of targeting professors to say, hey, if this is your subject matter, do you ever bring anyone in? Again, I don't know if those opportunities are paid or if they're totally free. That's, I think, been the challenge too. Like, how do you disseminate between if you have to make a living, which ones are paid, which ones aren't, but
So
that's a whole other story.
with universities, it's a long game and a short game, but it's mostly a long game. Okay, these are the people that are in those seats. If they are traditional students, so under the age of 24 years old, these people in about 5 years will be in a position to hire you. Okay, if they are non-traditional students, so they're a little bit older, they actually probably can hire you right away. So
Mm,
that's just a couple of tips.
mm,
As to whether or not the school pays, like I have spoken at 2 different, well, I've spoken at like 5 different universities here in the Boston area, and some of them, like, they just like, they pay their speakers. It's a very nominal fee,
mm.
but it's, I wasn't even expecting it.
It's great.
However, I did go in with my books. So if you have a book, you bring a handful of them. I
I am
literally
going
had
to.
a handful of books that I had stuffed in my bag last minute. And so it actually turned out to be a great sales pitch, by the way. I said, I only have like, I only have so many copies of my books. So if you would like, the students literally threw their credit cards at me
That's
because they
amazing.
wanted to make sure that they got one of the few
Right.
copies that I brought.
Right.
And I was short one book. And I said, me and the professor were friends and we were going to go to lunch. I said, come down with me to my car. I said, I got a feeling I got one in my car. And I did. So, because I told her that I would mail it to her.
That's great.
I wasn't going to charge her the shipping and handling. So there's another way to make a little bit more money and nobody's going to throw away a book versus your business card.
True. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Julie?
So I took your advice on the last time that you and I spoke, and I bought my name, juliebeckwith.com, for speaking purposes.
Good.
However, in my, and it's not an impossible situation, but in looking at some of the effort and the work that we're doing for our SEO for living on the patio, I'm a little concerned about cannibalizing, I guess, some of the work that I've done for our website versus what I'll need to do for juliebeckwith.com. So one idea that we were having, and I wanted to get your opinion on, was to go ahead and keep my speakers page on Living on the Patio, but also link juliebeckwith.com so that it hits that page. So I'm not, cannibalizing, if you will, some of the SEO that we're doing for Living on the Patio, and set it up in a way so that it still looks like a speaker's page, but it's
Mhm.
not, yeah. So I guess the question I have is, can I do that, or do I need 2 separate websites?
Okay, I think the reason why I had suggested another website was because of the topics that you're speaking on. They're very different. You've got 2 very different, like you are talking about corporate engagement.
Yeah.
And then we're referring people to like go to Julie at, like livingonthepatio.com. Like to me, there's a little bit of a disconnect.
Okay.
But if you are targeting companies
Mhm.
and HR associations and you're trying to keep this easy, like for starters, I would definitely like, let's use your name and just point it to your speaker page.
I should tell you that I did start a new category on Living on the Patio called Working from the Patio. So, is that a good O, or?
That is a good and the reason why I like it is because working on the patio, like so many people are working from home.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm trying to start a little hashtag WFO, work from outside. So that's my new hashtag. So
the corporate wellness and the speaking that I want to do, that will all be handled under that category. And then I have all the other information for people who want to, need help in whatever they need to do for their patio. So that's part of the reason why I'd like to keep it all together, because just complicate because I was going Julie Beckwith, working from the patio, living from the patio, just shoot me now, because I'm not sure that I could keep it all straight. So that's why we thought, well, let's just start with like sections, I guess, of the website. So I guess that's okay at first. And then
Okay, here's sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
that's
When
right.
we redirect your juliebeckwith.com to your speaker page, if you can make sure that maybe on that page it doesn't say like living on the patio, but I really like the working from outside,
Okay.
because it doesn't just mean outside the office.
Exactly.
So I think you talking a lot about this,
Okay.
working from outside, like how do we keep people to feel included when they're working from outside the office? And their outside the office could be a home office, the dining room. Maybe sometimes it's the bedroom for some people because they're trying to get away when the kids are home on a snow day and trying to get some really good work done.
Okay.
I think that there's a lot that you can be playing with this.
Okay.
Are
I
you
like that.
blogging?
I'm sorry?
Are you blogging?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah. So that would be a good topic. Here's a good way to keep employees who are working from outside
Yes.
engaged. I like that. I wrote that down because I really like that. That would be, that's a nice little niche. So,
Yeah. Good for you. I love that.
Oh.
Anything else?
no, that was it. I will at least start with that. And let's see if we can, if I can. I mean, I thought I would just try and make it work. If I can't, oh well, but I just thought I would try it and then move forward that way. But I, you kind of inspired me and fired me up. So I have completely revamped the material that I had. It's now called Nature, the Untapped Profit Strategy. How 29 minutes a day can increase your employee productivity by 45%. So, I'm hoping that it's just, you just did a great job of getting me re-enthused about this. And so that's why. Um,
Fantastic.
so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
It really was from the time that you and I talked. So
Wonderful.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Any other questions? I will be running in-demand signature speech. There's a couple of people here who have been part of that, and we will start the fall 9-week cohort that will begin the week of September 29th. Yeah. And if you grab your seat early, you'll actually be able to actually get into watching the trainings now, and you'll actually get a head start on crafting your in-demand signature speech. And you'll learn my methodology. Yeah, you'll be hearing Renee and also Drenda come on the podcast because they were both part of that program and obviously liked it because they're still hanging around with me.
That's awesome. That's great.
So any other questions before we do networking? Thank you, Drenda. Okay. Renee, would you introduce yourself, like who you are, what you speak on, and where we can find you?
Yeah, it's awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Renee Cooper. I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I am a speaker and leadership speech coach. My talk is how to ditch the script, shift your influence, and increase your presence. You can find out more about me at my new website. Thanks to Laurie, who suggested I get in touch with Jerry at reneeholtcooper.com.
Thank you. Julie.
Thank you. I'm Julie Beckwith with Living on the Patio. I am based in Roanoke, Virginia. I help educate people on the health and financial benefits of having an outdoor living space and then helping them prioritize those spaces either at home or at work. Now, my new signature talk is identifying simple ways to help employees remain happy and healthy that are backed by science. I'm at livingonthepatio.com. Hopefully soon you'll have juliebeckwith.com. It's
We
still
will.
in progress.
We will.
Thank you.
Linda.
Hi, everyone. I apologize for my voice. I'm fighting a head cold. My name is Linda Magoon, and I live in Warner, New Hampshire. I am a speaker and an author of a memoir called Live Free and Hike, Finding Grace on 48 Summits. It's a memoir about my journey hiking New Hampshire's highest peaks in my late 50s as a way to cope with some trauma following my divorce. You can find me at lindamagoon.com.
Love that. Thank you for that. Drenda.
I'm Trina, and I don't know. I wrote a book called Dare to Remember, Uncover Who You Were Before the BS. And I also speak on fear, really talking about releasing the BS that keep people stuck in their toxic careers and toxic relationships. It's redefining failure as your secret weapon to success. Also speak on productive ways to release anxious thoughts and stress. And then also out in the faith world or spirituality, I speak on finding yourself in a faith crisis. And you can find me under thethomasrichards.com.
Very nice. Thank you very much, all of you, for attending. I appreciate all of you. And until next month, I want you all to be in demand. Are you tired of hearing crickets on social media? Wondering where to get seen by the right people? Or frustrated with the growth of your business? Then the Speaker Breakthrough Session is just for you. During this free 20-minute discovery call, I'll help you recognize where you're leaving money and opportunity on the table. You'll walk away with tips and a strategy to leverage speaking opportunities to get positioned as the expert, visible to the right people, and monetize your expertise. Book your call at speakandstandout.com/SBS for Speaker Breakthrough Session.